Hi, I'm Susan Kennard, and you found the Spiritual Awakener. Thank you so much for joining me here. You're going to hear many stories from people on this show, normal people, everyday people like myself, and how we had spiritual awakenings, which led us to be of service to others. If you've got a story that you want to tell me about your spiritual awakening and how you now help others in this collective consciousness, please get in touch at susan@susankennard.co.uk or susankennard.co.uk for my website. You'll also find me on all social media. So I've got a really great guest this morning. His name is Ian Clayton. Now he's got a really interesting story about what he does to help the collective. Not quite in the way I do, but a very, very interesting story. So Ian, thank you so much to the Spiritual for coming on to my show, The Spiritual Awakener. Please introduce yourself.
Hi Susan, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me on board on this for today. My name's Ian, and yes, I'm very excited to be here and very, very grateful to be part of this show.
Brilliant. So tell me about your spiritual awakening. How did you get to where you are now? And you're going to tell the listeners about what you do in a moment, but how did you get here?
Oh, it was quite a while ago. I had lots of really mind-blowing synchronicities. I had a real opening. I went and visited a place called Silbury Hill, and
Wow.
I took a photograph and saw this big beam of energy coming into me, and then suddenly I could read people's thoughts. I could move with my mind, and I could heal people from really quite serious illnesses at a distance.
That's incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
And was this a particular spiritual place that you went to? For those of you, because I don't know where it is, and where is this, Sylvia?
I was next
Hill.
to Avery Stone Circle.
Oh, wow. So for those, because lots of people from all over the world listen to this. So this is in what area of the UK?
It's in Wiltshire.
Yeah. And there's a stone circle, which is sacred, isn't it?
Oh, yes. I took lots of photographs in there, and there were lots of orange orbs of light hovering around as well. And it was all quite eye-opening as to things. And I shouldn't really have gone on the top of Silbury Hill, because that's not allowed.
Well, we get guided to do these things, don't we, just when we get called to do them. So was this the first spiritual awakening that you'd had? Do you feel that this was the one that really opened up your channel?
Oh, yes, very much. Yeah, I as soon as I found out I had healing abilities, then I didn't really know what to do with them, so I learned Reiki and other healing modalities. It was a long time ago. It was before the days of the internet, so I couldn't get myself out there enough to be able to support myself. So another path came in, and
it went on the back burner for a little bit. But of course, once you're awakened, and I'm sure everybody listening, if they've had an awakening, you can't turn it off, can you? It's kind of there, even though you might try and suppress it for a while, or I definitely did, and was ignoring it for a while, but actually it's always there, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it's always, it's a part of you from that moment on.
Exactly,
And no getting away from it. So I've used the healing abilities that I've got for friends and for close friends and family, and it's been very successful and been very good, but no more than that, really. But now I'm feeling that I need to do a bit more. and
Ian and I met, I was on a Tally Summit, and Ian listened to me being interviewed on the Tally Summit, which has led, we did a bit of work together, which was kind of a bit of an activation, wasn't it? That opened up your channel a bit more. And it led to me inviting you on this show, because I always get guided, absolutely, with who I want on my show, who comes into my experience. And we just had this really beautiful interaction, didn't we? Where I just felt, wow, this guy I really want you out there. So what led you to do what you actually do now? Come on, tell everybody what you actually do, how you serve at this point in time.
Right, well, I had cancer, and I went to the Amazon rainforest, to a shaman there, and I'd been working on myself doing healing, and I went to see him. I'd had conventional treatment. I went to see him because he specialised in treating people with cancer. So off I went, and he told me that I didn't have cancer. And I got quite angry with him. I said, but I've seen the scans. It's a massive tumour. I went off into the forest to be alone with nature, basically. And a blue morpho butterfly flew and landed on me. And that's always been my sign of healing. So I left there, and I came back to the UK, and it was
Did you just track back? Did you do ayahuasca? Did you do plant medicine? Did you? Yeah, absolutely. And I've experienced ayahuasca myself, and so we call it mother ayahuasca, don't we? I've experienced it many years ago, and it is one way, isn't it, of accessing that part of you that is kind of almost hidden, isn't it? And plant medicine is, you know, we have plants for a reason, huh? You know, we were given plants for a reason. And so it's one way, isn't it, of actually accessing those parts of you that have been suppressed for a very, very long time. Yeah.
And I knew that I was given a mission by the spirits of the forest at the time. And the spirits of nature. And I came back to the UK, and I got offered the business that I now run.
Tell us about that.
So I own and run a very small, it's like a sanctuary and a rescue centre for reptiles called the Reptile Experience.
It's called the Reptile Experience, did you say? Yeah, the Reptile Experience. And where's the location, Ian? So people can look you up.
In Saundersfoot in Pembrokeshire in Wales.
In Wales. And have you just, I know we're going to talk about this at the end, but can you just say, have you got a website, or have you got details that people can contact you that you could give now?
Yes, I've got, the website is www.reptile-experience.co.uk.
Brilliant.
The email is info@reptileexperience.co.uk.
And they can find everything on that website if they want to contact you. So, Ian, why is it called the Reptile Experience? Tell us about that.
Well, because that's what I do. People, the animals that have been rescued, they're all ambassadors for the reptile kingdom and for me.
That's so beautiful.
Come and they interact with the animals, and it helps them to overcome their fears.
Yeah.
A lot of people have fears of these animals because of our beliefs about them, and they're nothing to be feared at all. They're very intelligent, and even affectionate animals as well.
And we had that conversation, didn't we? Because we actually own, you know, my son Martin has Maisie, the bearded dragon, and she'll be 2 very soon. And I was saying to Ian, well, she doesn't really do very much, and she doesn't really have, you know, she knows my voice and she knows who I am, but she doesn't really do a lot. And he was like, no, like absolutely, she's got, you know, emotion, etc. And it really opened my eyes to thinking about what you were saying about it. I mean, interact.
Some of them, even when I'm not feeling particularly good, some of them even come and comfort me. They climb and they sit on me and they rub against me. It's like, we've got such a strong connection, and visitors can see that when they come. And overcoming fear is a very important life skill. We all have to learn how to overcome our fears to live a good life. And people quite often come and they're absolutely petrified of these sorts of animals. Some of them just get dragged in by their children.
Because the children are fine, but it's the adults that have got fears.
And they absolutely fall in love with the animals. And so I encourage people to understand that all of life, all of nature is conscious, and we're all a part of it, and all animals are worthy of our love and our conservation efforts and our
just to support them really, and just realize that, you know, one of the things that I teach my children, I said to you, is that every single thing that's living is part of who we are. You know, that everything as a soul, even the plants, you know, I talk to my plants, you know, the children think I'm mad, but I talk to our plants, you know, I talk to the animals as if they are humans, really. You know, I say good morning to them all, I say good night to them all. You know, we have 2 budgies, a bearded dragon and a cat at the moment, soon to be getting a dog. And so, you know, I think it's really important for children to realize that, you know, maybe in some cultures, animals have been seen as second-class citizens, haven't they? You know, and I know definitely in some countries, dogs and cats are seen as not that important. Whereas in the UK, definitely, and hopefully, you know, all over the world, people are starting to realise that we are all connected as souls, you know, and whether we're a reptile or whether we're human, there's no separation, is there? And there's no hierarchy. In my eyes, anyway, there's no hierarchy.
And even with wild animals around us, yesterday I was thinking about today and about this, what is for me feels a very important interview. And I kept feeling blackbirds were following me around all day. Yeah. And at the end of the evening, I looked at the medicine of blackbird, and it's singing the song of your soul.
Yes, and that's just so beautiful. One of the things that, you know, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you on this podcast is because you spoke so much from your soul when you were speaking to me about what you did. I was like, wow, that just, you know, just felt a real resonance with me. And so I'm just so pleased that you agreed to come on my podcast. So what, you know, when you talked about the sanctuary side of things, what are your plans for this, Ian? What, you know, what has the universe got in plan for you? What do you feel?
Well, it's been revealed to me very slowly over a period of time through a process of synchronicity, and it's really very cool. It's a very big thing that's been developing over the 4 years that I've been doing this work, and it involved moving to a much bigger premises, having a tropical butterfly house so that people can marvel at the beauty of nature, introducing new forms of agriculture, which will make us more healthy and stop so much pressure on the natural world, because the natural world is disappearing because of our intensive agriculture. And there's new methods of agriculture, and I've even come across recently a potential of a way of restoring the climate.
Wow. So there's so much there, isn't there? And do you feel a lot of that came from, because I'm really drawn to talk to you about the Amazon, and obviously recently we've had, so I'm recording this in 2020, January 2020, but last year in 2019, we heard a lot about the Amazon fires, didn't we? And the destruction of the Amazon. What do you feel about that? Because obviously we know that ayahuasca is from the Amazon, it's an Amazon plant. And so what do you feel about that? Because, you know, we've got what's going on, you know, with the universe. Why do you think that's being destroyed?
Well, I think a lot of it was to do with ranchers, cattle farming. A lot of the fires were set intentionally, but also that is a part of this regeneration, which I've been learning about recently. I met with a 40-year veteran environmental scientist at the National Botanic Gardens of Wales recently, and she's working with a substance called biochar, which is basically a type of charcoal which indigenous people used to fix into the earth to keep the soil healthy.
Wow.
And so that's why a lot of indigenous cultures would do controlled burning of the environment, because it would help with the regeneration process. And this scientist now is using biochar to reclaim desecrated mine sites throughout Wales that are covered in poison, the poison from the mining industry. And all of that poison is running off the slopes, down the slopes, and going into the water supply and poisoning everything, poisoning all life. And she's working to spray this biochar onto the surfaces of the sites to fix all of those toxins in, pulling carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and regenerate it. And
people drink charcoal, don't they? I know definitely at my the gym that I go to, the Pilates gym, they have water and they have big sticks of charcoal in the water for people to help themselves and have a drink. And my understanding about it is that it does literally pull all those toxins from your body and then you excrete them. That's the plan, I think, isn't it? So that would make sense. And so do you feel about the Amazon, that obviously it's burnt to a charcoal, isn't it? It's burnt to charcoal. Do you feel like that's part of this kind of my guides are sort of kicking in here, like a more reinventing of the Amazon? Is it reinventing it, cleansing what we had before and bringing in the new, maybe?
Well, yes,
maybe,
quite possibly.
Yeah.
You know, we can feel these man-made, man-set fires as being, oh, it's a terrible thing, what's happened. But in the long term, in hindsight, there's a potential, as all things sometimes happen, sometimes the things that we judge to be the worst aren't necessarily that way, and they can be a part of this oneness of life regenerating.
And what's coming to me about that as well is just recently I did a global silent healing, actually a global silent healing for the planet. I was invited to do that, and what I'm feeling is that instead of putting fear, there's a lot of people with a lot of fear around, or a lot of anger around what happens in the world. So instead of doing that, instead of getting angry about it or fearful about it, to actually hold the space that, let's just hold the space with light and our soul's intention that whatever is happening is for the highest and best for the planet and for us. And one of the things that came up recently was that what my guides were channeling was, as we take responsibility for our own journey, our own soul's mission, our own soul's consciousness, we are actually helping the planet. So, you know, and it makes sense, doesn't it?
Every single change we make inside ourselves affects the whole planet, the whole universe.
Exactly, I know.
Beings.
So what would you like for people, Ian, what would you like for people to understand about, you know, the animals that they have in their life, especially their reptiles? Because we have a reptilian brain, don't we? So we're kind of, and I was definitely thinking this, that the reptiles don't have emotion because they're in that reptilian brain aspect, which doesn't have language or emotion. But you tell me that they do have emotion and that they're not just in that reptilian brain. So tell me what people could help people to understand that, because they're not always that pretty, are they, reptiles? They're not always that pretty, and they don't kind of like a dog lovingly look at you with puppy dog eyes. So how can you help people to love them?
Different species exhibit different types of levels of consciousness, I feel. Some are in that reptilian brain. Some they're in that fight or flight.
Which ones are they? The snakes?
Some snakes are very affectionate as well. I do have Lucy and Melanie, who are Burmese. And when Melanie, especially when she comes out, if she especially decides she likes a certain particular visitor, she will come and she will rest her head on their shoulder.
Wow.
So she can have a courage.
So that's the energy. So she obviously kind of feels attracted to the energy of that person rather than other people. And that's the same for us, isn't it, really? Like, we feel an attraction to certain people and other people we don't feel an attraction to. Yeah.
There's got an inbuilt radar. She's so funny. Sometimes she goes to people that want to meet her the least, so she can help them overcome their fears. And sometimes she goes to people that want to meet her the most.
Wow. So it's she knows. Yeah. She's got snake dar. Snake dar. And what about so how can people kind of get in contact with you? How can people support you if they want to support you? Because it is a sanctuary, isn't it? So they can support you by booking you for these reptile experiences, definitely. And what else can they do?
It's a bit difficult at the moment. I'm not really sure. I experience, it's good to have this grand vision that I've been given.
Yeah.
I've been very focused on trying to keep things afloat at the moment. So I'm very lacking in funds. I nearly had to close the place over the winter.
Yes,
because I don't get many visitors in the winter months because it's mainly holiday makers that come. And so September, November and December, I had virtually no income whatsoever. And I nearly gave it all up because I couldn't see how I could continue. But then it was like I surrendered it all, and suddenly loads of miracles came in and brought me the resources that I needed to keep the doors open. But then there were all things like equipment
and the lights, because they have to have a light on the whole time. I mean, our Maisie, the bearded dragon, has a light on pretty much the whole time. So, you know, there's electricity running, and you've got many. You haven't just got one, so you've got many. So let's put this intention out then. So if those of you listening feel drawn to support Ian, any donation would be amazing, wouldn't it, Ian, to help those animals? Any donation, and anyone who wants to support you with your project of, you know, making it bigger, anyone who loves animals like this and might live near you, or, you know, in Wales, or might not even live near you and just want to support you, and they can get in contact with you. Have you got an email address you can just mention now?
Yes, it's info@reptile-experience.co.uk.
And so people can get in contact with you and just email you directly. And of course, if they can't get you, they can email me directly at susan@susankennard.co.uk. What I was going to say was, so the thing I want to say about this spiritual awakening with you, Ian, is you could see that it was possible for you to help others to heal. Obviously, no one's a healer. We are all a channel for our own healing and support others to facilitate their healing. So do you feel that this might be ignited a bit more in you now, that you know, you may be able to go back down that route and reawaken the fact that you can help humans as well, not just animals? What do you feel about that?
Yes, exactly. I feel this is part of what I'm being very much drawn to do now. It's like there's always been these two separate sides of myself. There's been this side of me that can do healing, and there's been this side of me which works with animals. And I've either done one or the other. I started out as trying to be a professional wheeler, and I didn't earn enough money doing that then, so I went to do work to become a career as a zookeeper. So I did that, and then I constantly bounce between one and the other, although recently it's been more the animal side of things. But now I know that these two parts of me need to come, and I need to become a whole person. I need to express all of my gifts, not just one or the other.
And being one of the things I think we talked about on our session that we did together was the other souls that were helping you along the way that you didn't need anymore. And I think what happens is when we don't have those anymore, those other souls that we've asked to come in and help us, actually we're standing fully in our mission, aren't we? Our soul's mission, why we chose to come here. And I think that's what you're talking about. You're sort of expressing that actually when you are stepping onto that and you're fully embracing it and saying, look, I have no idea how this is going to happen, but I set the intention for the highest and best, then that's when the doors open, don't they? So for anyone listening, you know, what you experienced all those years ago with your body having that message was really interesting, because it set you on a journey of saying, well, actually, I'm kind of not going to accept this. I'm not going to accept that this is my lot. Yeah. So anyone listening to this that may have been given a diagnosis, that's not to take away from the fact that you must go and see your GP, you must have medical intervention. However, it's also a fabulous opportunity, isn't it, to look at what is it that I'm not standing in? Am I standing in my full mission? Am I really loving myself? Am I really in service? Because these are the keys, aren't they? You know, self-love, being in service, and standing fully on our mission. And if one of those is slightly out of alignment, we had this incredible barometer where we said, right, you tell me, and how am I ever going to know that my soul's out of alignment with my mission? I'm going to give you a message in your body. Yeah. Or I'm going to stop the flow of money, right? Because that's a big wake up call, right? And so, you know, you have to stop and listen. And I think, you know, that's what's happened, isn't it? You know, like it's actually, you've actually said, right, okay, years ago, I had this wake up call, I had this awakening, and perhaps I haven't used it in the way that I was meant to. And now it's time, isn't it? Now it's time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, entirely. That's it. I mean, it's yes. So healing is coming into alignment with our soul's purpose, isn't it? It's not.
Absolutely.
It's not just slapping your fingers and making a physical problem go away.
No.
Because nobody can do that. It's healing is always for the soul, and then the body comes into alignment afterwards. So I know this has been a long process. Yeah. It's been a long process and it's been a long journey, but I know I've been on track all along. Yeah. But it's just now's the time to express it in a bigger way.
So yeah, we could say to anybody listening, you know, that it doesn't matter, firstly, how old you are, how many years you've been working on yourself, how many years you haven't been working on yourself. It really doesn't matter, because there is only now. And in this now is the time to actually say, this is for me, and not sacrifice yourself for others. And I think that's really, really key, isn't it? You know, we have to look at who am I in the world? How am I bringing my service to others, but not sacrificing myself?
Yeah. Our own personal cup needs to be full first before we can overflow it to others.
But, you know, saying that, it's not about being perfect, is it? And, you know, to be honest, we never get it done. You know, we get it done to a place where we feel, I mean, I definitely, I just feel I have the best time in the world. You know, I don't feel like I work. I have fun every day. I meet incredible people. I get to speak, you know, channel information from spirit, and I get to do this, you know, interview people, and it's just a fabulous life. And it doesn't matter what you do. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do what Ian does. It's just what feels exactly right for you. And it could be that you work in a charity shop and that you're in service and you're speaking to those people that come into the charity shop, and you're having conversations with them, and perhaps they've never seen anyone that week. You know, that is being of service. So it doesn't have to be that you're a channel of, you know, you're a healer or a channel of light, or you work with reptiles. It really doesn't matter. So thank you, Ian, so much for being here. I really, really appreciate your time. And just once again, just how can they get hold of you? How can people get hold of you?
Through the website, which is www.reptile-experience.co.uk, and the I've got quite an active Facebook page as well.
Yeah, go for your Facebook page.
Lots of photos and lots of videos of the animals and their stories on there. And there is a way that people can help on there as well, something I did come across recently. It's only something very little, which doesn't generate too much, not very much money my way, but it's a method where we all do internet shopping, and we can do our internet shopping through a certain method, and all the stores actually give a very small donation to me.
Oh, great. So people can go onto your Facebook site. What's it called?
The Facebook is the Reptile Experience.
The Reptile Experience, and it's Ian Clayton. So if you put either of those in, I presume they'll find you. Yeah. So the Reptile Experience. Okay. And you're located in Wales, aren't you?
Yes.
So if that is it.
Is
that right? At the moment you're located in Wales. So if people want to find you today, they'll find you there. So thank you so much for listening to the Spiritual Awakener. Please do get in contact once again if you have a spiritual awakening experience that you want to share with my listeners. I can't wait to speak to you. Find me at susankennard.co.uk, or susan@susankennard.co.uk. You have found the Spiritual Awakener. Until next time, see you soon.